All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Eagle Eye podcast. It's been quite some time. And Dylan, there's no place like home. We're back, baby. So, anything you wanna add? Anything you wanna say?
If if any of our followers are in Texas, you guys just stay hydrated, stay out the heat. It's ridiculously hot over here right now, man. And I hate it so much. I really do hate it so much right now.
Make sure you guys do keep those fluids. As always, we're back. Actually, no, not as always because we haven't been back in a while. But we're back. The boys are back in town. And yeah, let's kick things off because this is a very unusual Eagle Eye podcast episode because this is not going to be solely centered around Club America because we're actually going to be solely talking about the Mexican national team, about El Tri. So, without further ado, as always, Dylan, welcome back. Hope your vacations were good.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely was. It was really great to see some family, and just to, like I said, just get to see them and enjoy away from Texas. It was really really nice weather over there, and I have to come back to Texas to 100+ degree weather over here. So, not very fun for that.
For those of you who don't know, Dylan was down in Vegas. The Eagle Eye podcast allowed him a certain amount of vacation time, and they flew him to Texas while I was stuck back here reorganizing everything. So Dylan's vacations was much more fun than mine.
Hey man, hey man. It comes with the perks, man. When you're the co-host.
I guess it does. I guess it does. But like I mentioned, we're back. Hopefully, you guys are excited just as much as we are. Just to give you guys kind of a synopsis of what this podcast is going to be for the next, I want to say, a month and a half. Hopefully, it's basically going to be us talking like we always do. We're going to be recapping games. We're going to be talking tactics. We're going to be talking the ups and the downs. But it's going to be solely centered around the Mexican national team. Um, of course, it's the World Cup, just 14 days away. So we thought it'd be great for us to kind of come back, pod, and really just focus and dive into the world of the Mexican national team. Of course, though, we know our roots. We know they're centered in Club America. So throughout this month, if there's any news, if there's any kind of updates, we'll most definitely make room to share for it at the end of the podcast. So make sure you guys do stick around because you guys never know. We might have a little something in surprise for each and every single one of you. So without further ado, Dylan, are you ready to kick things off El Tri edition?
I am, man. I am definitely ready.
Alrighty. All right, let's jump into it. For those of you who maybe are living under a rock and barely figuring out, the World Cup is just 14 days away, like I did mention. And well, we have plenty to talk about. And before I think we dive into any of these kind of news updates and whatever's, I think it's best to start off with kind of where we're at right now at the moment with the 27-man roster. Of course, this is going to get cut down to 23 by Sunday, so a lot of things are going to be happening and a lot of things are going to be going on. So, Dylan, do you have the 27-man roster or do I need to pop it up?
I think you need to pop it up. I wasn't really prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess to an extent because I am looking at the lineup that was played against Wales, and I guess you can really base it off that. Except the fact that Rafa Marquez isn't going to be there because obviously he's not going to travel to the U.S. considering his situation.
Yeah, definitely. Hold on to that lineup because we're definitely going to go back to that right now. But the 27-man roster, as things stand, these are the 27 players that Juan Carlos Osorio has at his disposal for him. One. Yes. I'm so sorry. This is so unprofessional. I just said yes for no reason. I just read on the group chat. Shout out to Marco Herrera who said, "Are you in Cali, Ivan?" Yes, I am in California, Southern California, in Moreno Valley in the Inland Empire. If you know where that's at, shout outs to you, my guy. So back to what I was saying. Sorry, just it's been a while. It's just trying to get back into the swing of things. Vacation and everything. Okay, so 27-man roster. Here we go. Goalkeepers: Guillermo Ochoa, Alfredo Talavera, and Jesus Corona. Defenders: Carlos Salcido. It would have been Nestor Araujo, but of course he is injured. We'll talk a little bit about that injury. So in his place, Osvaldo Alanis, Jesus Gallardo, Miguel Layun, Hector Moreno, Diego Reyes, and our boy Edson Alvarez. In the midfield spot, you have Jesus Molina, Rafa Marquez, Hector Herrera, Jonathan Dos Santos, Giovanni Dos Santos, Andres Guardado, Eric Gutierrez, Marco Fabian, and up top you have the forwards Chicharito Hernandez, Raúl Jiménez, Oribe Peralta, Jesus Tecatito Corona, Carlos Vela, Javier Aquino, Irving Lozano, and Jurgen Damm. So those are the 27 players. And Dylan, I want to ask you exactly when this officially came out, what exactly were your thoughts and how did you process all of this? Because there's a couple of names there that maybe you weren't 100% on board, or were you? I'm curious to see exactly what it is that you thought about this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have some mixed feelings about this because I'm gonna see some players' names on there that I'm not gonna want to go, and of course, there are gonna be some snubs that people always talk about too that didn't get the call up that they really should have got the call up really, and so there's a lot of mixed feelings going into that too as well. I mean, I think one of the most upsetting person that got called, which I wouldn't really say upsetting because it kind of sounds harsh, but one call up that I didn't really like was probably Jurgen Damm, which I didn't really think he deserved a call up to this to especially in this preliminary roster to the Mexican national team too as well. And so that was something that I didn't expect to see. Well, I mean, at the same time, it's Juan Carlos Osorio, so I mean, you really got to expect the unexpected. You never really know with this guy too as well. And I think the number one snub, that everybody was talking about, that really got grinded some people's gears. I'm pretty sure American fans are gonna like when I say this, but I really didn't like that Pizarro didn't get a call. I really think Pizarro deserved a call up to the national team. We've seen him in the March friendlies too as well. I really didn't think to an extent Pizarro performed like some people wanted him to, but then again too I understand too that the March friendly would just see as well who Juan Carlos Osorio wanted to call up to whenever it came time for these friendlies and prepare for the World Cup, which, it shouldn't have to be about that. It should be the form the player was in. And, Pizarro finished in fashionable form at Chivas. And so, that's something that I really wish I would have seen this Pizarro being called up to as well.
Now, if we're talking about form, then there's one player that probably shouldn't be in this roster to begin with, and that is Giovanni Dos Santos.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that too. I didn't really think Gio should be called up too as well. I mean, obviously, there's actually a couple people out there who really think that Giovanni should be called up, due to, his talent, but you don't see him in his form, the way he's playing with the Galaxy, I can't remember the last time he actually finished a game playing the full 90 minutes, but, there's just also something about these big tournaments that Giovanni decided to show up in for some reason.
And let's not forget he's coming off an injury too. So I mean that was always concerning. And then of course you see him come back, getting a couple minutes right before the friendly against Wales with the LA Galaxy. And then of course he gets about 20-ish minutes against Wales. And really you don't see that he's the same Gio, but Gio's a whole different topic that we can get into. But I'm curious because there are those names though in this roster that some people think were kind of a surprise. And I think let me name you three players that I have written down here that maybe to me at least they might be a surprise. I don't know to you, but you have Edson Alvarez, Eric Gutierrez, and Jesus Molina. For me, those three are kind of potential surprise names for this preliminary roster.
Yeah, at the same time too, which we'll talk about a little bit too as well. But whenever you see the March friendlies, you see the line, you see the players that were called up. You can even go back to whenever we finished the not necessarily a season, but whenever we finished with the national team too, with those FIFA dates, whenever we played Belgium and Poland. I mean, you get an idea of what players are going to be called up to potentially the March friendlies, and then from the March friendlies, you can see what players could get called up to whenever it comes down to the preliminary roster too as well. I mean, obviously, one thing that we didn't see, which some teams came out with too, was a 35-man roster. We didn't get to see that. It was 28, and so these players called up, working Juan Carlos Osorio's way too as well. Whenever he called them up, because he knew what he was doing in the end too. Whenever he was looking at players to call up.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, you go back to those friendlies, and you kind of get a sense of who's actually going to be on there already. And let's face it, in every manager tends to have their favorites. You know, tends to have these players that they stick with, even though sometimes maybe that's not the right call. And I think Juan Carlos Osorio has shown some favoritism to a couple of players, and you have to admit that the Santos brothers are favored by JCO, and Nestor Araujo was a big one too that he favored a lot. You know what? Now that I said his name, let's talk a little bit about that injury. Let's talk about Nestor Araujo missing the World Cup. Of course, very unfortunate, because he was coming in a very very good form. How do you think this affects the team in general? That maybe your one of your starting center backs is now not going to be going.
Yeah, like you said, this was one of our starting center backs. This was the guy out of probably just coming out. If you get to put in a starting 11, the only guy that's going to be not in Europe. This is the guy that was going to be literally Hector Herrera's, partner right there. That partnership was already built. That partnership is there, and they know how to play next to each other too. And we've seen that too a couple of times too, how they can play next to each other too. And it's a big blow to the back line. It's a big blow to the team too as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Juan Carlos Osorio copes with that too as well going forward. And right now it's either gonna be Hugo Alaya or Oswaldo Alanis too as well.
Interesting. And we'll talk about what this potential center back partnership could be. Um, because Diego Reyes might now being content to be in that starting center back spot.
Yeah, but it looks like too as well. I was reading some reports that it looks like Andres Cuadrado and Diego Reyes are gonna be doubtful for Saturday's match too. I don't know if you say anything about that.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? To be honest, even if they're not 100% by Saturday, they're going. They're first of all, Andres Guardado is our second captain. You would imagine Juan Carlos Osorio is going to take him. Two, Diego Reyes is another one of those players that he favors a lot because he tends to use them in a lot of places that maybe he shouldn't. But again, that's a whole different discussion that we can probably get into later on in down different episodes. But those are two players that I think are going to be crucial and are going to be kind of important. So he is definitely going to take them, regardless of what their health is come Saturday.
Yeah, I think so too. And we'll get into this too. But Saturday is really going to be that part. Whenever we see that starting 11, it's going to be more of a rough draft. Of what the starting 11 is going to be like whenever it plays Germany too as well. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see that. And the following from leading up to the World Cup too as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Let me see right here. We talked about maybe a couple of names that I thought were maybe potential surprises. Um, but now let's talk about those players that maybe should have gotten called up because I know you talked about one, Rodolfo Pizarro. But let me give you a name about a player that I thought maybe should have been called up for the can't even talk. This roster that we have in the meantime. And I think the one name that I think stands out to me that we probably should have brought in is probably Omar Govea.
Yeah, I was pulling for Omar Govea to be called up too. I mean, you see the way you see him too in the friendlies against Belgium and Poland. Whenever he made his debut, he was asking for the ball. He was wanting to do stuff with the ball. He wanted to prove to Juan Carlos Osorio that he can be a good asset to this team. And he went out and did that. Come to the March friendlies, not so much really, as much as you think you'd want him to, and everything too as well. And so it was a little disappointing, but not too much of a surprise for me too as well. Not see his name on that list. See his name on the preliminary roster list as well.
There's in the comments, our good friend Marco had said that Oribe is in poor form. That maybe that signifies that maybe he shouldn't have even been called on this roster because there are a lot of people, mostly Chivas fans, that are out there saying that Oribe Peralta does not deserve to be in this squad. What are your takes on that? Because I mean, I guess we could be a little bit biased because of course, the team that we support and the team that we cover, but if you kind of take that all aside and you try to be a little bit objective here, is Oribe Peralta, has he done enough this season to kind of merit this call up, or is he one of those names too that maybe Juan Carlos Osorio just kind of, trusts in?
Yeah, no, I'm just being honest. I really just see Juan Carlos Oribe Peralta as a name that he can trust, and you see how much he's done with the national team too as well, and Juan Carlos Osorio is going to take that for the experience too as well, and at the same time, it is pretty bad because we see him that he is out of form, but at the same time, a lot of people always say, we want to take the young players to get them some experience at the same time as well. But really, at the same time, this is Juan Carlos Osorio wants to as well. It's not good, but it's not necessarily bad to me, in my opinion, because I don't really see Oribe Peralta starting that much too as well. Whenever I see him come in against the Wales too, I see Juan Carlos Osorio testing him too a little bit to see what he can do, what he can bring to the pitch, and how he's going to exemplify that whenever it comes time for him, if he does make the 23-man roster, and how he's going to do that in Russia too as well.
Okay, I agree with you. I agree. He's one of those names that I think Juan Carlos Osorio just trusts in. We're going to talk about that Wales friendly right now because it's been coming up a lot. And actually, before we do so, we're going to play a little bit of prediction here at the Eagle Eye podcast. I'm going to ask you to cut 4 names out of the 27 players I just named earlier. I need you to cut 4 names that are not going to be going to Russia. And with that, I will give you my 4 names as well. So, give it to me.
I'll go with Jürgen Damm. Osvaldo Alanis. Gonna have to be one of those players that's cut. Maybe, I really hate to say it, but I really don't think Eric Gutierrez is gonna make it, and Giovanni Dos Santos.
So, wow, Giovanni, for you, Gio doesn't make it.
No, I really don't think he makes it.
If it was out of preference, I would agree with you, but yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit objective here and kind of think like JCO. For me, I think I agree with you. No Jürgen Damm, no Osvaldo Alanis, no Eric Gutierrez, which I think is a bummer because he actually played really well, but I don't think he maybe shined enough in the eyes of Juan Carlos Osorio.
No, I really don't think so either. And I hate to put the blame, but I kind of hate to put the blame that to Hector Herrera too. Hector Herrera was doing good things too against Wales too, but I don't know. Not in JCO's. I don't really think JCO saw what he wanted to see. I don't know. I really hate to see Eddie Gutierrez get cut, but
well, that's 3 names. For the last one, I kind of went back and forth with this a lot because I think these are 2 players that are definitely probably gonna get cut. And I think it's just gonna depend on who's lucky enough that Juan Carlos Osorio picks, and it's either gonna be Jesus Molina or Edson Alvarez. Either one of those 2 are gonna be getting kind of chopped off this roster, and at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be Jesus Molina.
Actually, I take back my Gio Dos Santos. I really think I'm gonna say Jesus Gallardo.
Really? No, I think he's even a content starter.
I don't know, man. He wasn't there for me.
It's not my preference. I would much rather have Layun in the left back, but I really think he's gonna use Layun on the right.
No, I really don't see it, man. I honestly don't with Jesus Gallardo. Because let's be honest. Besides Edson, how many times have we really? We never really seen a right back. Really, to be honest, man. If anything, we've seen that left back push up, and it's basically a 3-4-3. And, he's gonna have Hector Moreno. Obviously, is gonna start. Probably Carlos Salcedo, and then whoever that third center back is, Diego Reyes or Ayala. I don't really see Gallardo being in this 23-man roster.
That's interesting because I actually do see him in there, and he's one of those players that JCO really trusts in also. So, okay, well, controversy. We agree on 3 players. I think where we disagree is you say Gallardo, I say Jesus Molina.
I don't know, man. I mean,
And I hate saying Jesus Molina because I absolutely love the way he plays and what he
mhm,
brings to the table. He's so versatile because he plays that center defensive mid so role so well
mhm.
that he can act as another center back when needed. And the way he tracks the space in the field, I think is just amazing too. But I think in the eyes of Juan Carlos Osorio, I think he much rather have Rafa Marquez in that spot. He much rather have Edson Alvarez or Diego Reyes as well. Granted, we're talking about three center backs who are going to be playing center defensive mid,
Basically,
but and Jesus Molina is a center defensive mid, which it's kind of mind boggling the fact that we're talking about it like that in that context. But I think at the end of the day, Jesus Molina does not make it to Russia, which is unfortunate. Really, I think he definitely deserves to be going there. I think he's merited that, and we'll have to wait and see. Of course, Sunday we could both be wrong, and it could be four completely different names that no one ever thought about. Because let's be honest, is Rafa Marquez in doubt of actually going to the World Cup?
I don't. I mean, I don't really think so, in my opinion. Because I feel like Rafa Marquez is one of those guys that we talked about that Juan Carlos Osorio trusts too and everything.
What's his legal status like though?
I mean, obviously he didn't travel to the U.S. I saw Tom report too that they're supposed to meet with the president of Mexico too. He was questioning whether Rafa Marquez was going to be there whenever they meet with him too. Given the way even though Mexican citizens don't really like him, and political wise too, the talks between Mexico and U.S. haven't been good for the past couple of days too as well. So it's still there. The allegation is still there, as far as I know and understand too, as well. So I mean, it's
Because to my understanding, and this is probably not the best understanding in the world, but I think he needs to get that situated before they leave to Russia, or else he isn't even able to go and play.
I don't know. I mean, technically he's still on the roster. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
no,
still
I
there,
get that because
and he has been training. Ever since Atlas' season ended, he's still been showing up to the training grounds at Atlas, and he's still training. And so
he's still training in with no sponsors, correct?
yeah, he's still training with no sponsors.
So I mean, you can't imagine him going to the World Cup and having to train like that.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know, man. The same too, he could just be going, but not necessarily as a player too.
He could be going to do the whole Zlatan role. He's gonna be he'll be with Visa.
I I guess so, man. I mean that. Oh, I mean, still, man. All signs point to him going, no matter what.
No, I get you. I get you. Shout out to everyone who's joined so far in the group chat that's been waving hello to us. Hello, Carlos. Hello, Esteban. Hello, Angel. Hello to everyone that's been out there. Mini animations. Marcos again, like I said, Christian. Thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna move on into the second segment of the show, and we're gonna be talking and reviewing that Wales friendly here in sunny California at Pasadena at the Rose Bowl, a game that I contemplated on going, but because of different things, I wasn't able to go. And at the end of the day, I think it was actually a good thing that I didn't, because of course we do know what the result was. We do know how the game ended. We knew how everything was going. It seems quite interesting. But before we get into that, this Carlos brought up such a good point that I brought up in Twitter as well. For those fellow FIFA 18 players who are enjoying the new World Cup mode, if you notice something, Rafa Marquez is nowhere to be found in that World Cup roster. And it's funny too, because you would imagine he'd be there, because there are players there that they have no some players are there that should not be there. What is Picolín Palacio doing there? What's Moy Munoz doing there? What's Pereira doing there? I mean, there's players there that shouldn't even be on there and are. It's very mind-boggling. So that's why I asked too, because I feel like maybe FIFA haven't included him in the World Cup roster because of his legal status.
I haven't seen him either, man. I've questioned that too. But at the end of the day, man, he's with Mexico. He's training with them. You know, I want to see history. I want to see the history be made. I want to see him play and captain the team out in his fifth World Cup. But at the same time, man, with like you said, with him training with no sponsors, you're not gonna want to see that in Russia. And the game not even including him to go to Russia because of his legal status. And so we'll just see how that goes along the way.
Wow. He probably just needs to call up, those defensores. And I actually know the number. It's 1-800-636-3636.
You need to do something, man.
That is how you know that as a kid, all I would ever watch is Channel 34 because my mother would not want to give up the remote.
Oh man.
But yeah, actually, I think we're getting an update. I think I think they updated the squads today, and he is in the World Cup roster now. So he could be. It looks like Danielson Pineda. Shout out to you. He said that last time he played, he saw Rafa Marquez with a 73 rated overall. So Angel looks like he was saying the same thing too. So, okay, well, uh, maybe that means he is going to Russia. So it looks like we have nothing to worry about.
Nope, nothing to worry about at all. Just see how that goes from now until Sunday.
To be honest, this is kind of a relief because of my whole series that's going on that I'm going to be doing on YouTube. And I was like, wow, no Rafa Marquez. And I already stated that I was going to take Rafa Marquez. So I guess I saved myself the trouble there.
Yeah, it works out for you.
Yes. All right, we digress long enough. Let's go and let's talk Mexico versus Wales. A very anticipated friendly, not just here in the United States, but all around Mexico as well, because you were finally going to be able to see the Mexican national team. Now, a lot of people were maybe a little bit furious to know that, to see that none of their kind of favorite players kind of fielded the squad. I know I was. But at the end of the day, I think, everyone on Twitter was even saying, I think Tom, Cesar, you even pointed it out as well, that it was going to be a starting 11 where most of the players that were up for debate were going to be starting. And that really was how it went. I know you have the lineup with you, so if you want to give it away, and then maybe we'll go on from there.
Yeah, Jesus Corona in goal, Edson Alvarez, Jesus Gallardo, Oswaldo Alanis, Hugo Elaya, Jesus Tecatico Corona, Eric Gutierrez, Hector Herrera, Jesus Molina, Javier Aquino, and Javier Hernandez all started against the Wales.
I think the only maybe big names that started were probably HH, Chicharito, Tecatito.
Yeah, I think the same thing, man.
Those were pretty much the biggest names that you got, and then afterwards, everyone else was kind of playing for their spot to go to Russia. And okay, let's talk first 45 minutes. To be honest, this was for a team that was fielded with players that needed to do and play out of their skin in order to impress the manager. They did not play like that on the pitch. Wales controlled sometimes most of the game in the first half. We looked very sloppy. There was people that were maybe a bit out of position. I think Edson Alvarez had a horrible first half in regards to how he did the second half. The second half was way much better by his standards than the first half. And just little subtle things. Alanis giving up the ball in his own field, giving it straight to a Wales player. I think the only really player that kind of just stood out to you in those first 45 minutes was Tecatito Corona. And while as great as that is, that shouldn't have been the case, because you had about nine to eight other players that were out there playing for their spot to go to Russia, and it looked like some of these players weren't really capitalizing on it. I mean, you saw the likes of Alanis, who maybe didn't have his best game. He only had 45 minutes, but within those 45 minutes, he didn't really do much. We looked very, very shaky sometimes when Wales would start running at us. And then, two, I think Jesus Molina was one of those players that maybe in that center defensive mid, he kind of got lost because he was, again, kind of chasing space and kind of trying to track back and cover. But you didn't really see this team play out and play the game that they were supposed to go out there and play. Maybe it had to do with some of these players were nervous. Maybe some of them weren't up for the moment. I'm curious to see what you have to say about this.
Well, like I said, this is a game, where players are trying to fight for their spot on the plane to Russia and stuff like that. So, it's kind of what you expected a little bit from the team like that. This is a team that doesn't necessarily play together all the time. This is a team that doesn't really have a lot of chemistry within each other, playing on the field like they were. And so you seen the back line misplay, bad communication, didn't have that much communication. You see the midfield too. The midfield wasn't there. I think Acha stood out to me too as well whenever he was playing too. Really the only person going forward was good was Jesus Corona. Chicharito was quiet, which was a bit of surprise. You didn't see much from Javier Aquino, to my opinion. This is something that you really expected a little bit too as well. So I didn't really have that much high expectations for this game. A lot of people come out after the game, saying like this is a disappointment to the game. This is a bad farewell to the U.S. fans. Obviously you get the boos at the end because it was a scoreless draw. People paid their hard-earned money to go see Mexico win. Score goals and see some goals scored. But they didn't get none. And so, I get it to an extent, but at the same time, people also got to understand that too as well. There's going to be some mistakes. There's going to be uh, the occasional players, that are a little bit lost because these players don't play together week in and week out. They go have their respective clubs, and they're not surrounded by each other all the time. And so, you're going to see that a little bit too as well.
Even though we state that maybe these are 11 players that aren't used to playing with each other, and there was mistakes in that. In even though we were playing a very good Wales, I think we were still the better side. We were still the more dominant team on that pitch, and that says a lot too about the individual talent that we have. But you were still expecting more. I mean, give it up to Wayne Hennessy too. I mean, the guy did absolutely amazing, but you would have imagined that this team was capable of doing more with the players that are out there, because we know these players. We see them week in and week out. They're very good players. They're very capable of coming in, stepping into a team, and performing. And you would have imagined that they would have done that. I mean, we had the ball for most of the time. We had the Wales opponent on the ropes. It was just the fact that we couldn't be clinical. We couldn't really finish, and towards the end, during the second half, it was all Mexico. Didn't really remember Wales doing much than just defend. It was a bit mind-boggling, the fact that we could not find the back of the net.
Yeah, a little disappointing right there too. Like you said, obviously, whenever Juan Carlos Osorio made those substitutions toward in the second half too, as well, you see the shift in play a little bit too, as well. You see a more dangerous Mexico whenever going forward in the ball too, as well. Just unlucky not to get that goal that people wanted to see and everything.
Yeah, it was quite unfortunate. But I want you to give me a name of a player that maybe stood out to you in a good way, and another player that stood out to you in a bad way.
In a good way, really, it's kind of hard to really choose between Tecatico and Acha Acha. Those are two players that really me stood out. Obviously, they didn't play the whole 90 minutes, but still, those are two players that showing good signs. Going forward because I really think Acha Acha is going to start. It's kind of up in the air with Tecatico too right now whether he starts or not. But he really has that potential to start. But it's going to be kind of a little hard whenever it comes between Carlos Vela and Edwin Lozano too as well whenever it comes to starting. So it's a little debate right there whenever what Juan Carlos Osorio is going to go with whenever he's going to start his wingers.
Yeah, I agree with you. Um, Give me a name of a player that didn't capture your.
My attention like bad in a way.
Yeah,
Um, really, man, it's got to be Jesus Gallardo, man. I mean, I don't.
really, because I think he had a pretty solid game. I'm not saying he was like the best player on the pitch. I think he just went out, played his game, and that was it.
Man, to me, it wasn't there, man. It really wasn't. I really hate to say that. Um, it just wasn't there for me, man. I wasn't feeling it with him at the left back spot.
Okay, no, I agree with you in regards to Acha and Tecatito Corona, not with the whole Jesus Gallardo. But for me, I think the one player that stood out to me the most in a good way, um, was probably yeah, it was probably Hector Herrera. Because Tecatito was maybe a little bit more sluggish in the second half because maybe the whole presence of Jurgen Damm. But I think for someone who kind of was well rounded for as long as he was on the pitch. I think Hector Herrera did absolutely amazing. Um, but I think a player that maybe didn't capture my eye to the best and the fullest extent was probably Jurgen Damm. He
That's
comes in.
kind of not a surprise.
I mean, because he comes in and you think he's like, okay, this is someone who's actually played right back and who has maybe some of the traits and qualities that a right back should have. But I mean, he comes in and I feel like he doesn't really bring it as much. Whether or not that's the lack of service that he's getting, whether or not it's just the team not adapting to him being on the pitch, I'm not really sure. But he just didn't really capture my eye in that sense.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I mean, to me, man, it's been like that for every mixed game that he's either came in for or started or whatever. I really don't see him being with this national team whenever going forward. But I have a feeling for some odd reason, Juan Carlos Osorio is going to find some space for him and keep him in the 23-man roster.
Really? You think Jurgen
Yeah,
Damm's going?
I hate to say it, but for some reason, man, I really just have this feeling that Juan Carlos Osorio is going to be like, okay, let's make some space. He's going to make a ridiculous cut that nobody's going to want to see and take Jurgen Damm over somebody else.
I mean, he could cut uh
Yeah, I
Carlos
mean,
saying Jurgen can't even give a good cross. I mean, I could see that happening. He can, maybe cut Oribe Peralta or Edson Alvarez, and maybe we'll be in a fit. I don't know. Maybe most of the L3 nation will be in a fit, but I don't know. I think Jurgen Damm is one of those players that I think will not be going to Russia. The kid's talented. I know that he has potential to be really well. I think it's just he needs to work a little bit more on his game and maybe be used in a position that actually favors him.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want him to go. I don't think he goes, but I feel like me saying that is gonna jinx it somehow. Just be like, boom, it's come Sunday. We're gonna see the 23, and his name and face just gonna be right there.
Well, I mean, not much left to wait. The list will officially be out Sunday after the despedida game against Scotland, which is going to be on Saturday, just 2 days from now. So, um, anything else you want to add on about the Wales game? Did maybe what I don't know really anything else you want to add on about that? Because I mean, we talked pretty much in depth about what we kind of liked and what we didn't like.
No, I mean just the fact that things got better in the second half. Really, Juan Carlos Osorio throws in names like Carlos Salcedo. I mean, you can argue Jonathan Dos Santos, Marco Fabian. I mean, what I like to see the most too was that Edson got a shot at the center defensive mid role.
And he
That
did really good.
yeah, and I mean, forget the first half, man. I mean, the first half is that. I mean, if Juan Carlos Osorio doesn't see that, that's where Edson's most comfortable and can thrive right there. I mean, I don't know what he's seeing then, man. I mean, like, I understand too. At the same time, that the way he plays too, it's almost like a 3-man back line to it, so because you see how much the left back pushes up to as well, and it's kind of like slotted in right there. But at the same time too, it's not necessarily always going to be like that. It's always going to be somewhere on the right side, like a right wing back too as well. And it doesn't suit him. He's not comfortable with that. Whenever he's comfortable in the middle, as a center defensive mid or possibly a center back too.
And I'm glad you bring that up because if you saw his first 45 minutes as a right back, this is no surprise to us because we've grown to attest this by nature with Club America, but he can't play right back. He has such a tendency to drift towards the middle because he's a center back because he knows how to play down the middle. He's not too comfortable in the right. I don't know whose idea it was. Probably was JCO who's just like, you know what? You can go play down the right. There's no big deal. But he just has a tendency to drift so much to the middle, especially when players are running at him. Not exactly him in general, but at the defense, he has a tendency to drift towards more the middle, which means he's leaving the winger with acres and acres of space, and he's not really marking his man the way he's supposed to. Granted, that should be something that he should pick up as he is playing that position, but it just shows you kind of what he's more comfortable, what he's more used to, and that's always going to be down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with Jesus Gallardo when they played Pumas and the Clausura.
Yeah.
Which I mean, probably don't want to talk about.
Yeah. No. Probably do not. But shout out to Leva who says Edson Alvarez needs to go to the World Cup. I believe he needs to go as well. I'm not hopeful that he will get that much playing time, but he's very young. He can soak in the atmosphere. He can, take all of this kind of, help him grow as a player, and will definitely mature him to be able to be in that scenario, to be able to be and see those kind of scenes firsthand. I think it's an experience that will definitely in the long run help him out, and hopefully he does make it to Russia.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, he got a taste of the Federations Cup, not necessarily on the official roster list, but he was there training with the squad, and then you see what he did at the Gold Cup as the right back, which the one time he thrived at the right back position was the Gold Cup. Now you don't really see him doing that anymore, which is kind of sad.
That's true. Alrighty, last question in regards to this. What does this result mean? What does this result mean to the team, and how will it affect the team going forward, if it affects them at all?
To be honest, I really don't think this affects the team in any way. I feel like this team, kind of knows too as well. That these are some of the guys that are fighting for a spot. So they obviously picking up players, encouraging players, go out there and give their 100% too. I feel like nothing against Wells. Wells has a good side. It was disappointing not to see Gareth Bale there too as well to give this side some trouble and to give this side that experience to see something like that too as well with a world class player Bale is. But I feel like this result doesn't really have that much of an effect on the team as the next result will come Saturday too as well, because whenever we see Saturday, like I said, Saturday and then the game against Denmark, those two squads are going to be the rough drafts, really really rough drafts, like the final draft that we're going to see before we see the starting 11 against Germany.
I agree with you. I agree. Let's see what happens. Now, talking about Saturday, that moves us on to our next segment, which is the preview between Mexico and our rivals for the Despedida match, which is Scotland. So, as Dylan mentioned, the game is this Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central time. That is 8 p.m. for all of you people down at the East Coast. It's going to be Mexico's final away game before heading off to Europe, before we head over to the World Cup in Russia. It's sold out, packed house. We're going to see everything lit up in green in our home stadium. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I think it's a great opponent too. I think even though it's no Brazil, Argentina, I think it's definitely going to be a good it's going to be a good test. And I think, like you mentioned, it's going to have to be a game where you field out your best starting 11 that you want to be playing, because now you give them two games, this one against Scotland and the one coming up against Denmark, to kind of just familiarize themselves just a little bit more, tie up some loose ends, and really play the game you want to play right before you play that matchup on June 17th against Germany. So, coming into this game, how are you feeling, Dylan?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. A lot of people probably disappointed. I know some people don't have the faith in the team, but I got some faith in the team. Man, I feel good about this year. I feel good about this World Cup. I feel good about this squad. I feel like the squad's going to do good things at the World Cup too as well. So I'm feeling good.
And I think in order for us to kind of just keep feeling good, I think a good result against Scotland is important. And by a good result, I don't mean a 1-0 or a 2-1. I want to see some passion out there. I want to see some determination from the team. I want them to go out there and score goals for fun and showcase how much better we've gotten since a year ago when we were at the Confederations Cup.
Yeah, I definitely think so, man. I mean, like you said, 1-0, 2-0, that cut it. Really, you're gonna want to see this team go out and chance after chance after chance. Just keep pounding it as much as you can, because like I said too. I mean, this is your rough draft. This is gonna be the final cut, the polishing things up of who you're gonna see versus Germany.
I agree with you. Now, let me give you my starting 11, predicted starting 11, and then you can give me yours, and then we can go a little bit back and forth and see whether or not we agree with some of our player choices. So, for me, in goal, no doubt about it, has to be Guillermo Ochoa. On the right, it's going to be Edson Alvarez. In the center back position, I think it's going to be uh, Carlos Salcedo. Hugo Ayala, if he's fit. I mean, sorry, not Hugo Ayala. Hector Moreno, if he's fit. If not, it's going to be Hugo Ayala. And the left back position is going to be Miguel Layun. At center defensive mid, I'm willing to say that he's going to start either Rafa Marquez, or he might maybe be a little bit creative and put Jonathan Dos Santos. I highly doubt it, but I really think it's going to be Rafa Marquez. Joining him in that midfield is going to be Hector Herrera and Jonathan Dos Santos if he doesn't play in the center defense. No, not Jonathan. Sorry, Marco Fabian. He'll probably start there, and then on the right wing, we're probably going to see either Carlos Vela or Tecatito. On the left wing, no doubt about it, we're going to see Chucky Lozano, and up top, no surprise there either. It's going to be Javier Chicharito Hernandez.
I think the one thing that I would really change is I wouldn't have Edson starting that right back spot. I'd really have Carlos Salcedo, Hector Moreno, Hugo Elaya, and then Miguel Layun. That's my back line. Everything else, I pretty much agree with you. But I would submit Carlos Vela in my right wing position for sure. Carlos Vela.
And this is an interesting thing to kind of note. It's, these are two very, very good wingers, but that play two distinct different games, two different types of styles. What do you think would be better? See a young, quick, fast, pacey, trickery Tecatito Corona, or a Carlos Vela who doesn't have the same kind of spring to his running, but can dribble through defenses and can give you a really good pass. I mean, you're kind of left at kind of a crossway here. Who do you think is the better option?
I really do agree with you. You get two different styles from both players, and both players are absolutely good. It's a really hard battle right there in that right wing spot, but at the same time, I really think it's going to be Carlos Vela. I really think so.
Because, I mean, you can always move Carlos Vela towards the midfield, and he can do that role easily, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
you really can, yeah.
And he can just play behind Chicharito, a little bit up top at Hector Herrera, and you can easily put Tecatito Corona there. But I think JCO is definitely going to try to use him in that right wing position. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased here because of. Actually, I don't know how this is biased, but I'm just gonna say it. I think Tecatito Corona should be our starter.
I mean, I get what you're saying, man. I mean, and it's not there too. Like we said, Andres Guardado is doubtful for the game come Saturday, so there's a good chance that he could have Vela in that midfield if he doesn't choose Marco Fabian, and then have Tecatito Corona playing on that right wing too.
And I have nothing against Vela. Trust me, nothing against Vela whatsoever. I think he's a wonderful, wonderful player. One of our best players on the roster. I just think what Tecatito brings to you is a little bit more than what Vela does, maybe going forward. But I mean, if he picks Vela over Tecatito or Tecatito over Vela, I'm not gonna have a fit. I think either player can definitely come in and be a really good impact sub, regardless of the player that comes in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, two different styles. Two different players. Both of them are gonna bring it no matter what. So it's really hard to say. I mean, for the time being, I don't really think that position is really cemented and who's the definite starter. I mean, it could really go either way.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of positions up to grab come Saturday, but I think we both agree on that lineup. I guess we can definitely go with that lineup. Of course, a lot of absences. Hopefully, some of the players that we named can be kind of ready to play. I wouldn't expect them to start. I'd probably give them about 15 minutes each in the game. But what do you think about all these absences?
I mean, really, it's difficult, because obviously you're gonna want Andres Guardado in the lineup too. Probably you're gonna want him against Germany too, because he's been doing great things with Betis in Spain too as well. I really like the move whenever he moved from PSV back to Spain, with Betis. And so it's tough, to see these players have to go through that injury and to really put off this playing time because right now it's pretty crucial to get some momentum going too. Not necessarily as a team, but for individual players to get their form, for them to go forward with that momentum too, and to apply that to all 11 players on the pitch too as well.
Yeah, I think rhythm is a very important thing coming into this, and an injury definitely disrupts that rhythm. It's a little scary to think how these players are going to come into this World Cup, knowing that they're coming off an injury. Let's just hope that they can pick things back up come Saturday.
Yeah, I really think so. Obviously, doubtful. This is kind of really up. Well, I mean, when you hear doubtful, there's really doubting, that they're not going to play. Obviously not start, but we'll see what happens too in the end. Whether they can get some minutes on the pitch, but really it's kind of hard to say too.
No, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. So, we talked lineups. We agreed with that. Let's talk a little bit of tactic. What do you think is going to be going on in that pitch if we field out those 11 players that we've agreed on? Um, do you think it's a little bit more the same against Wales? Maybe we try something different. What's going to be our end game here?
No, it's really going to be the same against Rose, man. It's too late to try something different, really. But so expect that 4-3-3. If we're attacking, turn into a 3-4-3. If anything, when Miguel Ayun pushing up on that left side, but it's
I'd
really
like
going to
to
be the
see a
same
little
thing.
bit more ball possession. I know we had plenty, but I want to see ball position in the sense that I want to see more movement. I kind of want to see the players kind of, you know, have a flow, have a rhythm to them whenever they're passing. I want to see a little bit more, 1-2 touches, kind of getting in behind the defense in a good way. Uh, you know, because I know JCO loves to switch the ball over when there's too much pressure on one side. And if he's going to do it, great, because that gives Miguel Ayun or whoever's going to be playing right back a really good position to kind of just move forward and keep moving the ball. That sense, I just want to see a little bit faster pace from it. I kind of want to see a little bit less mistakes, and I want to see a team that's going to be starting familiarizing themselves with a game plan. I think that's the most important thing: a game plan that has good structure and has kind of exactly what we need that will help that that we need. Wow, I can't even come out with my explanation, but a game plan that suits the players that we field out, and because of that we're going to be ended up getting a result not only against Scotland but against Denmark and against Germany, against everyone who we play in the World Cup. I think it's important that because JCO is a very tactical kind of manager. He studies the opponents to a fine tooth, and because of that sometimes our tactics change. And I'm okay with that. Different teams require different attentions and different game strategies. It's just I want to see how this team adapts, and I want to see how this team performs with set tactics. And if he's gonna play out one way, okay, then let's see these players perform out that way. And really just kind of want to see how each individual is gonna perform out there, and hopefully he starts the best 11 possible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we'll definitely see the best 11 possible, and I think we're going to see what you want more from the team too, because you're going to see the strongest team possible out there come Saturday, and from here on out, pretty much. So he wants to get that rhythm going. He wants to get that structure settled into and everything, and so that's exactly what we're going to see.
And I agree with you. Now comes our favorite part of the show, predictions. Give me a prediction for Saturday.
I go with 3-1 win.
Really, I'm going with a shutout for our boy Memo. I think we're going with 3-0.
Okay, I like that. I like that 3-0.
Yeah, I'd be happy 3-0. You get a clean sheet, you get morale going, you get a couple players scoring. Hopefully Chicharito can put one in the back of the net. I'm going 3-0, and it looks like people are agreeing with us.
Yeah, Levo 3, Mexico 3, Scotland 0. Yeah, I mean, see how that goes Saturday too. Can't wait for that game.
Now, if Mexico somehow manages to upset us even more and they don't get a result against Scotland, what's gonna happen?
Oh man, that's good. It's a really tough call. It really is. I mean, what do you change? I mean, what was not working that was supposed to be working? Was it a player? Was it the tactic? I mean, you gotta change from within too. I mean, that's one thing. That's one thing you say. Juan Osorio was able to adapt to the style of play. He studies the style of play the team does and what they do and how the team comes out and formation wise and everything. That's just something that I hope that doesn't happen. And Juan Osorio is able to adapt to going along with the ways the Scotland's playing. If the outcome of what they're supposed to do does not come out that way.
Okay, I completely agree. I completely agree. So that is our preview for Saturday's game. Make sure you guys do tune in, and make sure you guys do follow us on Twitter at Eagle Eye Pod, because we're gonna be live tweeting that game for you guys. For whatever reason you're gonna miss that game on Saturday, whether you're going with the in-laws, whether you're going to a baby shower, where you're going to a party, regardless of the situation that you're gonna be, that you will not have a television in front of your screens. Don't worry, we will have you guys covered full 90 minutes. So, without further ado, Dylan, is there anything else you want to add on to this preview?
No. I mean, I think we covered everything. We talked about everything and gotten everything off too.
So we'll be back next week. We'll be back to review everything that's going on with the Mexican national team, and to be honest, we're gonna be talking about that 23-man roster. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a couple surprises, a couple of names that maybe should not be on that final 23, but of course that's all gonna be for the future ahead. Make sure you guys do tune in to next week's episode. I'm pretty sure it's going to be one that will have a lot of tension, but at the end of the day will definitely be very very informative as well. Again, we're going to be live tweeting that match for Saturday. It should be interesting. Hopefully the team is able to get a result, and for any bit of news regarding the Mexican national team or America, you guys can always follow us on Twitter, like I said, at Eagle iPod. If you guys, for whatever reason, miss a live show and aren't able to make it, you guys can always find us on SoundCloud and iTunes as well. So you guys can always take us on the go and can always have us in your commute. So without further ado, Dylan, last question. Anything else you want to add on?
I wish I would have looked it up. I didn't really think about it. We also cover America, obviously. So, I mean, I wish I would have got something on Colombia, if they played, something we could have said about Mateus Uribe, maybe. I know he was called up, he's on the preliminaries right now, but I looked for something real quick and I'm not finding nothing.
We'll have an update for everyone come next week. Last question though, and I know I said last question last time, but real quickly, of course, this is Club America bit of news. We do end up buying Luis Reyes. We finally get a left back for the upcoming season. Just quick, maybe a couple 30-second thoughts on what this means for us.
Oh man, it's a good signing. It's a improvement to the team too. It's something that helps the team too in the long run too as well, and it's something that can better assess Piojo's status in the club right now, because I know a lot of people were calling for Piojo whenever the Clausura ended. Now that that's addressed, now we need to address the striker position, probably a couple other positions, because obviously, we thought we weren't as deep in positions as we thought we were. So, it's something that we can always feel and see how that goes going forward too as well.
I agree with you. I extremely agree with you. Finally, we have a left back. All I can say is I'm over the moon. Exactly. It looks like he's ready. It looks like he's determined. It looks like he's happy to be with the club. So we'll have more as things develop for Club America. But for the meantime, we're having our binoculars set on the Mexican national team. It's been episode 21, the legal episode of the Eagle Eye podcast. And thank you to every single one of you guys who came out and, joined the live chat. We always encourage you guys to come on by, talk to us, and interact with us. Shout out to every single one of you guys who did that. To Marcos, who said that this was the first podcast he's seen and he loved it. He stayed all through the beginning all the way to the end. Shout out to you. Shout out to every single one. Mr. Leba, Carlos, Christian, Chicken Biscuit. Shout out to you,
Chicken
my guy.
biscuit.
Chicken biscuit to you. Every single one of you guys that came out, and also to every single one of you guys who are listening right now, because without you, there would be no podcast. Thank you to you, Dylan, for always being the best co-host. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, no problem, man. Always enjoy doing this.
Nothing like home, nothing like being back home. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna be with you guys throughout the whole World Cup, and it should be a very, very interesting one at that. Well, without further ado, we'll see you guys very, very soon. Until next time, take care. Y arriba, Mexico. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Hasta luego.